Guys, welcome back to Industrial Marketing Live. Appreciate you guys being here as usual. I have with me today Khalid Saleh, who is the CEO of Invest. Khalid is a conversion rate optimization expert, and I say that with absolutely no sense of comedy, because he truly is. Khalid has been the CEO of Invest for who knows how long. I'm going to let you explain that a little bit yourself. And he basically does this for companies big and small all around the world. He has offices in Europe and in the Middle East, as well as his home base in Chicago. And you're based in Michigan, or are you in Chicago?
No, in Chicago.
You're in Chicago. Okay.
I love cold weather, so moved from Michigan to Chicago.
There you go. And so Khaled's going to sit. He's going to talk us about conversion rate optimization. We have some live sites that we're going to tear down. So please have your notepad. This webinar is recording. And so you guys don't have to worry about that. You will get it tomorrow. And Khalid, I'm going to hand it off to you. You want to share your screen, go through the slide deck, or you want to go through the
I will
website?
share my
screen. Let me know what you want to do, okay? Let's just hang out. Let's get started. And guys, for you all who are here, if you have any questions about what Khalid is talking about, or you want to chime in and just want him to expound on anything, just hit me up in the chat. Let me know. I will interrupt him politely, and we will and we'll continue. And I'll interject and see if I can get your question answered. Definitely, if there's anything while we're doing the websites, let me know, and we'll expand on that as much as possible too. All right, Khalid, I'm gonna let you do your thing. Go for it, man.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for the intro. Thank you, everybody, for attending. So I have a fairly detailed slide deck. However, I always think it's a lot more interesting when you look at live websites. So in some areas, I will go faster. I attended a talk by with Dharmesh, actually. We were presenting both back in 2007. First time he presented, first time I presented. And when he got up, he's like, hey guys, I have only 2 speeds. So fast and faster. So keep up with me. And since then, I repeat this. So sometimes I go too fast. But so we're going to talk about how do you increase your website conversion rates. I'm going to walk you through the process. But like I said, I think looking at actually live websites, and I'm hoping that the people who attend the websites are attending as well with us,
because they very much are. Yes, they are. They're here.
Awesome. Because it will be good to also ask them questions. Okay, so what are we going to do in the next 60 minutes? We're going to talk about bad experiences, bad customer experiences, how average is losing. And we're going to talk about the CRO system, which is the process that we've developed over the years. When a company comes and says, hey, I'm frustrated with my conversion rates, what do we do? Funny story on the side, because everybody comes to us saying, I'm frustrated by that conversion rate. Nowadays, we're working with one client who is frustrated by a 0.1% conversion rate, understandably so. But also, we're working with a client who's frustrated by a 25% conversion rate. I'm like, really, 25%? I would be happy. When we founded the company, we founded in Houston, moved to Detroit, Farmington Hills, and I get a call one day from Domino's. Who wouldn't want to get that call? Their VP of marketing. I'm excited. So I'm talking to him and I'm like, hey, so what's the conversion rate as part of as we're discussing it? He's like, well, what do you think actually? Matt, what do you think? What kind of conversion rates Domino's would have?
Domino's?
Yes.
So people who go on their site and order a pizza?
Yes.
That's the conversion rate. So my guess is their conversion rate is somewhere in the 80+% range, because that's you're literally there to order a pizza. So that's my guess.
That's exactly what he said. He said, hey, first time visitors, and this is, by the way, 10 years old data, so I don't know what they're at right now. First time visitors are at 41%, returning visitors are at 82%. So I'm thinking to myself, like 82%, again, this is 2010. I'm like, he probably doesn't know. I mean, he's a VP of marketing running billions of dollars operation. And he's like, oh, why don't you come to campus? And I'm like, they're in Ann Arbor. So we drive and we're sitting there, me and a couple of team members. And the other side, there's 22 of them. And I look at the metrics and I'm like, it is an 82% conversion rate. And I'm like, what do you expect it to be at? He's like, well, when somebody picks up the phone and they talk to us, we get a 96% orders, 96% of the people who call us place an order. And the only reason we don't get that other 4% is sometimes we don't answer the phone. People are waiting for too long, or we don't have a special, so they go somewhere else. And he's like, I want my online conversion rate to be like my offline conversion rate. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we'll do the live audit. So quickly, what do we do at Invest? There's the fancy thing. We help you increase conversion rates, but really we're in the business of helping you make more money. We offer full turnkey solution for conversion optimization. And then we train some companies also on doing conversion optimization. Companies large and small, about 30% of our companies that we work with are large, eBay, Targets, whatnot. And then about 70% are on the smaller side. But enough of that, because you did not come to attend the webinar to hear that. Let me tell you a story. So like Matt mentioned, we opened an office, and I've decided to open an office in Turkey. I don't speak Turkish. I'm not Turkish. Story for another webinar. I tell my assistant, get me an apartment. I need a nice apartment, So he goes and gets a place. And I'm like, oh, good. Okay, it looks really good. I am super excited about the apartment. Finally, I have a place. So instead of staying at hotels, I hated staying at hotels. And then I move into the apartment. And mind you, it's a place that has about 10,000 people. It's a nice place. You're paying a ton of money by Turkish standards. And the minutes I go in, and it's difficult to see in this picture, but there is a single entrance actually for entering the apartment complex and leaving. And every time I'm to bring in my car and drive it in or drive it out, I am just frustrated. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to hit a car going in and out. The guy who designed it didn't think really through it. I place an order for food, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And it's you probably can see 17-story building. And I'm thinking to myself, why does it take them forever to find out I put the apartment number? It turns out something really silly. I put the apartment number, which is just a random number. It's apartment 422. So you think that's going to be on the 4th floor. However, it happens to be on the 11th floor. So the delivery guy is constantly randomly guessing which apartment number he needs to look for. And I'm like, okay. And they call me, and I don't speak Turkish. That wasn't really very helpful. Nice kitchen, very simple. Can you tell what the problem with this kitchen is?
No, well, it looks like it's built for someone who's left-handed.
Thank you. Every time I'm so I open the drawer, and I'm trying to put the plates there. And if you notice the dishwasher under there, which meant that I banged my head every time I filled out the dishes. And I'm like, dude, why on earth are you doing this? Frustrating. So I thought to myself, I'm like, I wonder how much this costs this apartment building. And I actually did a little bit of math on how much time it cost. These frustrations add up. And I'm like, okay, 4,000 residents, 2 minutes of frustration. Used to take me more than 2 minutes, but so 8,000 minutes, let's say 133 hours of wasted time. Let's say you're at $75 an hour. That is about $10,000 a day, almost $3.5 million, $3.65 of wasted effort. Same time, Turkey is an interesting country. The Turkish Airlines, which is one of the best airlines, and I have traveled. If anybody had traveled, at some point I used to do about 50 weeks of travel around the world. So I've tried, and then my body had something to say about that. I was like, you know what, dude, sit at home because you'll get sick for the next month. So the Turkish Airlines, I'm like, great. They just rebranded their sites, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, I just buy a ticket going to Chicago, not too expensive. They spend $150 million on their site, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, so I see the ticket, but I cannot tell how I can reserve. Can you tell where the reserve button is?
No, I cannot.
I literally sat there. It is this small arrow that they have over here.
Oh my God, that's the conversion point.
Exactly. And I'm like, I sat there for I'm like, okay, I don't really understand what I need to do over here. I am ready. I need to fly. I always buy my tickets last minutes, and I'm like, I cannot buy my tickets. This is very frustrating. Again, I love to do some math, how much this cost them. They get 12 million visitors a month. It's an average conversion rate of 3%. So they're probably losing, because of that, about 20% conversions. What does that adds up to? $136 million. And sometimes silly mistakes that you do like that cost you a ton of money. You're not thinking about it when you do it. As a good rule, whether when it comes to a website, when it comes to a phone, when it comes to anything, if you have to put a sign to explain to people how to use it, there's probably a problem when it comes to usability. You think it's really amazing, but it probably is not. So we love to do this thing where we benchmark sites against like, basically standards of what we call the conversion benchmark report against some standards in conversion. And you would think that year after year we improve. What do you think the average website score is? Let's see. Wild guess.
0 to 100?
Out of 100.
All right. I want the audience. Like, why don't you guys give me a
yeah? Let's see.
Give me guesses in the chat, guys.
What do people think? And like
So my personal opinion is it's probably in the 40s. Whitney says 20. Allison says 30. Craig says 36. Phil 35. Andrea 35. Where everyone's in like that 30.
In the 30s. Okay.
30ish range. Dennis going way low, saying 7. This is almost like the Price is Right. You're bidding on that first thing.
There you go. Well, no, okay. So the average website does better than that. The average website is doing 55%, which is still, by the way, not that great. It's like, we could be doing better. I like to give the example of healthcare.gov. Regardless, by the way, wherever like you are on this like debate, whether you like it or not. So after living in Turkey and Europe for a while, I come back to the US and I'm like, oh, we got to get health insurance. Okay, so I'll do that. So I'm filling out healthcare.gov. I go there. It's like 16 steps. I highly recommend never do it on a mobile device. Mm-hmm. I have 4 kids. So I'm filling out the information. And at some point, like, oh, what are their social securities? I'm like, oh, God dang it. You asked me that in the 4th step. Call my wife. She doesn't know it. Oh, I got to run upstairs, come back, like fill out the information. After I put out their social security numbers, session expired. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. And I have to go through it again. It didn't save it. I'm like, dude, you already have my profile. Why didn't you? Oof. 5 times. And I'm like, oh my God, it really is challenging. It is the most expensive website, by the way. I think the last estimate was 1.5 billion with a B, that it took how much to build that. And it's almost like, let's take away all the simple concepts that we know about usability and conversion and throw them out and start from scratch. Okay.
Like your Motorola story you told me.
Oh my God.
We get that one later. Let's continue on here. But.
Yeah. One thing I want you to keep in mind. First, like thing there are a few things I want you to think about as you leave this webinar. Average is losing. So what we continuously see, regardless, large, small website, is like when you first start, your conversion rate is okay, but as you increase traffic, sometimes you start seeing a drop in conversion rates. And that's the case with most websites. However, there are always in every industry, it doesn't matter to me what industry it is, there are exceptional websites. Now, the truth is, exceptional websites and marketers who run exceptional websites are usually very quiet about their success, correct? They don't want exactly to share, because what do marketers do when you hear about something exceptional? First thing we do is we start copying it. Marketers are really amazing at copying other marketers. That's what we do. And when we copy, what happens? What's exceptional, people get used to it. And it's like, okay, it's just like it's another website. One thing that you should set as a goal for yourself is that on an annual basis, you should be able to increase your website conversion rates, your campaigns, regardless of whatever traffic that you have, regardless of whatever marketing campaigns, by 30%. Set that as a goal. And I always tell companies as I talk to them, 30%, if I'm able to achieve anywhere between 60 to 70% of that goal, I've done well, as opposed to naturally just letting my conversion rate drop.
Right.
And think about this. Don't always look at your competitors and copy them. I'm not saying ignore them, correct? Be informed of what they do. But remember, what is absolutely amazing for them, you might be in an industry and you're like, I'm better than everybody else. Well, guess what? If you're better than everybody else, your goal is to improve that by 30%. Don't look at people who are doing worse than you. Look at really a better goal that you set for yourself. Next thing that I want is kind of the low-hanging fruits. There are always things that you can optimize on a website. There are sometimes silly things that people do on a website, and you think to yourself, like, well, what can I do? Well, start by what I like to call them stop the bleeding points, because you're bleeding money, correct? People are coming. Sometimes somebody comes in, they're like, hey, man, I'm ready to contact you. I'm ready to do whatever the conversion might be. And it's like you're asking me too many questions. You're like making it difficult for me to even fill out the form, and you're doing something silly. You're almost telling me like you're telling me like, hey, come and convert, but your website design, your actions, your marketing tell me, oh, we don't want you.
Just everything but that. Like, please don't convert. Actually,
There you go.
Please just read this and leave.
There you go. It's like, hey, here it is. We don't need you really. So what are some of the things that you want to focus on? There's always at the very bottom level, there's some silly things that people do, bugs, implementation issues, correct? Nowadays, people come to your website on a mobile device. A good number of people are looking, is the site designed for mobile? Isn't it, like, does it look good on mobile or not? Think about usability issues. What do I mean by usability? I expect when I click on a button, if the site is going to take a while, well, the site will tell me, hey, we're loading the site. We're looking. If I'm clicking on an image, if I'm expecting something to happen, it should happen. That's usability, a user-friendly website. Then there is conversion-related issues. This is when you start thinking, and persuasion issues, and I'm going to combine them together. This is when somebody looks at the site and they think to themselves, I'm like, man, I'd like to have that. Or this is the company that I'd like to hire. If I'm going to hire, like, a company, like, to do any, like, planning for my construction, like, site, this is the company I want to go with. There is a big difference, and I always like to say this, between usability and conversion.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference that I see, a user-friendly website, when the visitor comes to it, when a person comes to it, they think to themselves, I can probably contact those guys. I can use their services. When you have a site that is optimized for conversion, the visitors thinking to themselves, I must buy from here. I must contact this company. And it's amazing all the psychology that goes into making a decision, because I sometimes, by the way, think about something and I'm like, I don't need it. Yeah, it would be nice to have. And then something happens and I turn, like, a switch is turned on in my mind. I'm like, I gotta have this. Mm-hmm. And that switch, the right company that's able to do that is just absolutely, is going to get my money, correct? And I'm ready to convert. So what do you need to do? Some kind of like action point over here. You want to go through your website and think of, like, are there issues? By the way, my favorite exercise over here, and I don't care about market. Lots of times people tell me, well, I'm in a different market. And I tell them, no, whenever you tell me you're in a different market and different industry, guess what? It's a very self-centered view. It is, correct? Think about it from this perspective of the human, the visitor who's coming to your website.
Visit all sorts of websites totally unrelated to your industry and your website, and they basically are filtering conversion points in UX throughout a variety of industries. Like,
that's exactly what it is.
Nothing to do with you. I mean, they're going to Domino's Pizza too. You know what I mean?
It's a human, correct? Ultimately, it's the human. I like, whenever, like, somebody comes in, I'll take the sites and I would give it to somebody who's older. So somebody who's older sometimes is my mother-in-law. And I tell her, I'm like, hey, can you find out the contact form and just fill it out? And just watch her. I love this exercise because I always tell, like, and I would tell a client, like, sit and watch. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you're going to cry. It's the crying game, because you're like, what? Why are they clicking here? Why are they doing that? This is obvious. Well, it's obvious to you and to your designer, but it's not necessarily obvious to the visitor who's coming to your website. Okay, great. Convinced us. Okay, let's increase conversions. So what do we do? What you'll see right now is a very detailed process. And what I would tell you is you can take the same exact process and you can apply it to any type of marketing, not only website. Use this marketing process on your, like, if you're running any ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, if you're doing any type of webinars, if you're doing any type, because everything, there's an offer, correct? Yeah. I'm putting out an offer and I have some specific people that I want them to come and take that offer. So think about this process. We like to refer to this process as SHIP. Scrutinize, hypothesize, implement, propagate. And why do I use the word ship? Because you're always got to be shipping new things, correct? You're always got to be changing. Somebody, I was talking to somebody and they were telling me, it's like, well, no, we're in a constant state. Nothing changes. I'm like, oh, you're wrong. Because guess what? If you're not improving, you're, like, getting worse. You just don't recognize it. Yeah. And by the time you recognize it, sometimes it's just a painful reality. Let's talk about the process and how we would actually apply this. The very first phase, scrutinize. This is where you figure out what are the problems in my marketing. You also figure out, hey, what are some of the additional new revenue opportunities that I can focus on? Lots of times people, when they think of marketing, I have a problem I need to fix. Well, no, there's also revenue opportunities. I'll give an example. One of our clients, Z Gallery, large furniture retailer across the US. And they said, hey, can you help us increase conversions? So one of the very first things that we do is we will do, as you see over here, is what we call jobs to be done interviews. This is what we tell you. Talk to your customers. Nothing more powerful in marketing than talking to your customers.
Never.
The best thing that you can do.
Easiest hack ever.
And this is funny because, I mean, like, everybody says in marketing, talk to your customers, customer first.
So few actually do it. I mean,
that's exactly what it is.
But like, so few actually do it, at least in like a non-sales setting. Like, just parenthetically, our next webinar is going to be on voice of customer and talking to your customer. We have Dave Loomis on and Aaron Haynes, and those guys are experts at that. But yeah, go on with what you're going to do here with the jobs to be done.
Yeah. So like, it's amazing to me because I always tell people, I'm like, marketers have said, and people in business talk to your customers so much, yet no one does it. And listening to on the radio to this law office here in Chicago, and they're like, we put customers first. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means for a law office to put customers first, because it just became like a phrase, correct? And then everybody repeats and no one really believes in. So one of the things that we like to do is like, we'll say, hey, give us people that had bought from you, that actually hired your service in the last month to 3 months. Going back to Z Gallery, we told them, hey, people who bought from you in the last month to 3 months, and let us talk to them. They're like, okay, so we'll do that. So we're sitting there and we're talking to them. Now, what they're expecting us to do is to say, hey, so how was the experience buying from Z Gallery? We didn't ask that question, and we don't ask those questions whenever we do customer research, which we will find very strange. I start those interviews by saying, so hey, so what was going on in your life that day when you decided that you want to buy from Z Gallery? Like, actually, my wife had bugged me about it. And we said, like, we had just moved to a new house. Like, oh, so when did you guys think about buying a new house? And we start going historically. What are we doing over here? The customer journey. We have a client that sells dance lessons. A guy, his secretary, they're doing about $8 million. Pretty amazing, if you ask me, for a 2-man operation.
Yeah.
And dance lessons. So we're like, hey, can we talk to your customers? And he's like, sure, it's dance lessons. What's there? So we talk, and second interview is a pastor. And we're like, hey, so what was going on in your life? He's like, when you decided to buy those dance lessons. He's like, dance lessons? Those are not dance lessons. I'm like, okay, what are they? They're like, they're marriage therapy. I'm like, sorry? He's like, I was about to get a divorce until I saw the ad, and I clicked on it. And we're stuck at home, me and my wife, and things were getting so much worse. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, this was so amazing. It saved my marriage. It was so amazing that my last Sunday's sermon was about your dance lessons. I actually was telling people to buy it, and he had recorded the sermon. And he actually sent it to us. So I called my client. I'm like, guess what? You're not selling dance lessons. You're selling something completely different. You might think to yourself, you're selling something. People are buying something else.
Yeah, it's selfish benefit, right? Like, I'm selling this to impress my girlfriend, or to, give my kids self-confidence, or to do something, right? There's always a selfish benefit behind a purchase of any kind, whether that's in B2B or B2C in some kind. Like, when I bought HubSpot for the first time, I wanted to implement CRM in my company because it never been done before. And that was the tool I thought could get me there more than the rest. That was my selfish benefit for getting HubSpot when I worked at Binzel.
I think it's funny. You ask people, like, no, hey, you brush your teeth. Yeah. Why'd you brush your teeth? And the rational human will tell you, well, teeth hygiene, and you don't have cavities. The truth of the matter is, research shows that people are more likely to brush their teeth if they're going out on a date or in a social setting, more than if they had just eaten candy late at night. Mm-hmm. Correct? The social aspect that no one's going to tell you, well, I'm going out on a date. I don't want to be the person with this, stinky breath. Correct? Mm-hmm. Everybody tells you about this, the hygiene, but it has a lot more, the benefit. I don't want to. I want to be be attractive. There's lots of resources, by the way. They're in the recording, so I like to put lots of resources, because each one of those is a webinar by itself on how you do those interviews. So and since there's a recording, people can access it. Another thing that we do is we will do an expert review. So when we do an expert review, this is when we bring in couple of people who know usability, who know conversion, and they go through the website. They think, okay, let's say I'm a manufacturer and I sell a specific type of equipment, and then like, okay, here's the audience that I'm targeting. Let's pretend to be that audience. And let's go through the website. Let's say we're trying to submit a contact information. Let's say we're trying to find out more information about the company and their staffing and their equipment, and how easy is it for us to find out all that information. And they start recording like, hey, like, this specific task that we expect a normal visitor to do, it is very challenging on the website. So they come up with a list of items that they can that they'll figure out. And again, like, they're reviewing different methods. What's important is, and I'll look at this, and this is from an actual client, is every element gets analyzed. I mean, look at this, by the way. This is just the top navigation. All these are different problems that you see in the top navigation that we saw on a website, because you really got to think, like, so for example, they put the order now button over here, and this is really important, but like, people are not clicking on it. This is one of the most important areas on the website, but people really are not clicking on it. They threw their navigation altogether, and we're like, there's some areas over here that are getting 40% clicks, and there's some areas that are getting like, 1% clicks. Does it even make sense? You have a video over here that people are not even clicking. You gotta think about elements, because you're constructing, not only are you constructing the perfect screen, but you're really constructing that perfect experience where somebody's like, oh, it's almost they understand everything that I'm thinking through.
For so many people, it's like your homepage is like, it's the first impression they get of you as a company. And so it's going to dictate everything else they think about you almost going forward, in terms of like how modern, sophisticated, or empathetic, or anything of a company that you are. And it'll even touch points outside of your website, even like things on your social media presence, or, things like your webinar or your trade show or stuff like that. And so when there's like a mismatch on that, that becomes something that ends up affecting your brand overall.
And what's sort of interesting, lots of times people throw these things together without thinking, what's the brand? What's the impression? How is it to be working at your company? How does it feel to do business with you? If I look at your website, it feels very timid and very old.
Well, your website gives you an impression of what it's like to do business with you, right? It's like, I mean, that is like, it's like, are these people going to be good to do business with or not? And like, you could tell immediately if you just from the website what it's going to be like, whether it's going to be, just how it's going to be, whether it's going to be modern or fast, or not a lot of friction, or whether you have to literally jump through hoops to talk to somebody, which
that's exactly what it is. That's
ultimately is going to make you be like, I want to go to someone else.
I mean, sometimes you look at something and I'm like, oh man, no, I'm not going to trust them with my money.
Right.
I don't even have that conversation, just a kind of different ballgame. Something else we'd like to do is we will do lots of user research. So, and by the way, you can do user research. And you see them, by the way, as you go through the web right now, those pop-ups that ask people.
With NPS?
NPS, what are you, I love to ask a simple question, for all of our clients, like, we'll have a small pop-up, what are you trying to accomplish today? And I always tell the client, I'm like, okay, hey, what do you think people come to your website for? And they're like, well, maybe they're browsing, they're looking to get services like ours, maybe they're doing some research. And I'm like, okay, let's put these. And I'm like, what do you think? How does this break down? They're like, probably 20% browsing, 20% or like looking to purchase services. And we take that data and then we launch a simple, poll or a survey on the site. And it's always amazing when you go back and you say, oh, by the way, so here's what you thought. Here's what people think. We did that on our own website. So we sell conversion optimization services ultimately. And I'm like, guys, our conversion rate is not that great. Can't have that. You got to fix that. So I'm like, first thing, let's ask people, what are they trying to do? We ask people, Matthew, 98% of the people who are coming to our website, and we get very healthy, 100,000 visitors a month, which is really nice. 98% of them are coming to learn about conversion optimization. They're not looking to hire a conversion optimization company. So I was sitting with the team. I'm like, okay, we've ran this. We had about 2,000 people answer. They're coming there to learn about conversion optimization. You're converting right now at the 3.5%. You're doing better than what people are telling you. There's no way to increase conversion rates better than that. But it also made us ask a question. It's like, well, if I find out that's 98% of my visitors are there to learn about conversion optimization, what do I do? And that's really what you want. Customer research is powerful.
What you do, you monetize.
There you go. There you go. That's actually what we're like, what? Let's put a course on conversion optimization. Let's emphasize learning conversion optimization. We love to spend time, and I highly recommend it. And look at your analytics. You can automatically generate reports, track some numbers, understand. And I always like to ask people, like, do you know how looking at the breakdown between mobile and desktop? Most people would know, or at least they'll have somebody in their company to tell them, well, 20% of my traffic is mobile, 80% desktop. That's those are our metrics, for example. But I'm like, okay, let's drill a bit deeper. Okay, so it's good that you know desktop versus mobile, but do you know the breakdown between the different iPhones? Do you know the breakdown with the different browsers? Have you looked? If you know that 15, 20% of your traffic is coming on an iPhone, we had one client. And I don't know how 20% of their traffic, they sell to older generation, they come to their site on iPhone 5. Most websites nowadays are designed on iPhone at least 6 or above.
Mhm.
It looks ugly on an iPhone 5. And I'm like, oh, usually we would ignore an iPhone 5, but with 15% of the traffic, we're like, oh, we probably need to fix that because that's a problem. There's some resources over here on how you do, whether it's the expert reviews, how you look at analytics to really understand. And my goal is, by the way, with marketing is not just to think about like, well, this is a nice data point, but actually get something actionable out of it where you implement and start making changes. You do some usability testing. There's lots of usability testing websites out there. Pre-COVID, I used to do something a lot more better. I used to like to go out to lunch at a Panera or something like that and pull up our website to random people and say, hey, can I buy you lunch? And can you do this on this website? And people are willing, with free lunch, they're willing to do a whole bunch of things. Nowadays, it's a little bit more difficult, but this is when we say, hey, let's ask people to perform certain tasks. So there are sites that help you do that. Usertesting.com. There's a whole bunch of websites that allow you to actually do usability testing. Think about what are the things that I expect people to do on my website, and let's just hire, pay some people $20, and let's watch them do, those tasks on the website. Some resources on that. Now, lots of times people tell me, it's like, why do you do all this stuff? Isn't it enough to do one? I'll tell them, I like to look at the problem from different angles. If your only tool is a hammer, then every problem looks like a nail. Data gives you something, talking to people gives you something else, an expert review gives you a different perspective, different perspectives. Okay. That was, by the way, majority of the work. The minute you do that, that's the majority of the work. Now, you might end up with 100 different problems that you've identified on the website. So what do I do with them? So what we do is we classify them into groups. Fix right away. Something very silly happening on the website. We had this one client, SaaS company, sign up. I think it was like a Thursday and Monday. Oh, actually, sorry. They signed up Thursday, and then Wednesday, their CEO, big company, emails me. And you don't expect to get an email from the CEO. It never talked. I was like, what have you guys done? I'm like, nothing yet. I'm like, what's the issue? He's like, people are not signing up for the service, and they usually get a few thousand people, and look, the rate dropped by almost 95%. And I'm like, okay, what do I do first thing when he said that? I'm like, well, let me sign up for the process and see what's going on. I go through the site, I select a package, and I'm going through the process. Creates an account, puts my name. I have a standard password. Most of us do that I would use. Put it, not working. I'm like, okay, I have my other password that I don't like to use on sites, but okay, doesn't work. Okay, I have my third more complicated password. We'll put it in there. Gosh, it refuses. I use LastPass, which saves password. Right. Randomly generate a password. It rejects it. I'm like, are you kidding me? LastPass, 12 letters because they have... And I called the CEO. I'm like, I'm not able to sign up. There is a reason. He's like, well, yeah, we had a security breach, and our CTO decided to increase the strength of the password requirements. I'm like, well, yeah, he killed your conversions too. So almost $2 million loss of revenue for them. I'm like, that was because somebody thought it was really smart to make a change like that. Mm-hmm. There are instances where we like to instrument a website. So everybody has Google Analytics installed on their website, but dig a bit deeper. If somebody's clicking on a button, let's say you have a contact page, a contact form on your site. Are you clicking when people actually submit that contact form? How about your top navigation? Are you clicking to understand what are people interested in or not? Research opportunities is when you see a problem and you're like, and you'll see examples of this as we do the live audits. You'll see lots of research opportunities because ultimately we say, this is probably silly. We can fix it. Here's a better way to fix it. Investigate further. And again, by the way, we're classifying the items, correct? That's when we say, I talked to people and they told me that they love our About Us page. But then when I look at my analytics, people are spending 10 seconds there. So either our analytics is really misconfigured or people are lying to me I need to investigate this further. You classify the issues, and then you go into the next phase. Now we're going to go quickly through the rest of the phases. First thing you do is you'll say, okay, let's hypothesize. You have lots of issues, and what you want to do is prioritize them. Now, doesn't sound very complicated. It's not very complicated. You want to find the items that you think will increase your sales, you increase the number of contacts you're getting with the least amount of effort. Listen, maybe the headline is not very strong, and the way we have the form laid out doesn't make sense. That doesn't take too long to fix. So let's go ahead and try and fix that, correct? We think we'll have high impact on our conversion rates, on our sales, on our number of contacts, on our MQLs, SQLs, and it's very quick to fix. Let's start there, as opposed to we need to redesign the whole website. Lots of times when I talk to companies, they're like, we're going through a redesign. I'm like, do you know? I mean, lock up 3 designers in a room for a week and you'll end up with 20 beautiful designs. Whether they work for you or not, you have no clue. So you got to be careful with that. Mm-hmm. You create a hypothesis, a better headline, a better form, a better, and then again, you'll see it in the live audit.
Call to action, just, yeah.
Exactly. Something like that will actually increase our conversions. Let's create a design. That's when we bring in a designer, by the way. Lots of times people start with the designers like, hey, design this better. No, let's identify the problem. Let's come up with a hypothesis on how to fix it. And then we bring in Mr. Designer or Mrs. Designer and we tell her, please fix that. Now, I'll have to say something. Marketers and designers tend to say, well, I'm already fixing the problem. Let me fix a whole bunch of other things. Let's think through it. Let's be a bit more focused. That's when you have the new design. What I love to do, and the process that we follow is we say, okay, this new design looks absolutely beautiful. We don't implement it live on the site. We do not. What we do is we say, hey, how many visitors are you getting per month? 2,000, 10,000, 100,000. Okay, well, let's ask them whether they like it or not. And how do we do that? Through the process of A/B testing. Yeah. We split your visitors. 5,000 see the old design, 5,000 see the new design. And then you compare the number of contacts that you're getting. Are we getting enough contacts, or is it still the same? So we didn't really increase our conversion rates. Your visitors are the judge of the quality of the work that we do. So this is some guides on the process, and I'm going to just skip throughout. Finally, which I think is very important, anything that you do in marketing should be about education. So we're always asking a couple of questions. One, what did we learn from this? That's a very important question. Because something that you do online on your website can actually inform how your sales team, how your sales team is doing the sales, the messaging that they're using, and vice versa, by the way. We have a client, large B2B client, and we're like, hey, we can design it, but can I hear sales calls from your sales staff? And they're like, why? I'm like, I want to hear the questions that people are asking, actually. And let's put that actually on the site. Let's put videos of your staff on the site answering those questions. So we're always learning. Here's some resources on that. With that, I ran through this very quickly as I can. I'm actually excited about the live audits. So.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Awesome. So, any questions, by the way, as I look?
I hope you guys found that part of it valuable, because that was really smart, especially the methodology by which Khalid goes about, figuring out what the issue is, addressing it, testing it, and then doing the post-test analysis. But so Dennis asks, where can I go for reasonable benchmarks, or is there even anywhere to go? You have to just base it on your own historical website data.
It depends on the website. I mean, you can probably, there's few Facebook groups if people are willing to share some of that data. If you have a specific website, I'll be glad to share some numbers based on just like what we've done. But there is in manufacturing, there's very little data, and everybody is protective, kind of understandably so. In e-commerce, there's a lot more data that's published, but that's a whole other project, kind of like, trying to figure out how to get data around this stuff, because I think it's going to be very, very powerful. So one thing that we've been thinking about is putting a research panel where we allow people to anonymously actually share some of their insights. I think something like that can be very powerful.
Sure. All right, let's do some of these teardowns. I'm going to pop up real quick. Go ahead, share your screen. I don't even know who we want to start with first. We want to just go in order.
Yeah, let's go in order. So I'm actually pulling up this. 1 second. So I think this.
So if you're here, by the way, when we pulled this up, I don't quite know everyone's name who's affiliated with which website, but just go ahead. If it is your website, just hit the raise hand just so I can know. And so just because I would really love it if you were here. We can talk through it, and then you can ask questions in the chat real quick if you wanted to ask anything a little deeper. But go ahead and pull up the first site, Khalid. Let's
Okay, can you see my screen?
Not yet, no.
Hold on. Oh, it stopped sharing. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Hold on. The share.
Right, so we have ajracks.com. And so if you're here, go ahead and raise your hand right quick. Let's take a look at participants. Oh, it's Courtney. Okay, so Courtney is here. Courtney's website. You're first up.
And you can unmute Courtney, maybe. Like, she can give us all that background.
Courtney, if you can talk, I'm going to allow you to talk.
Yes, sometimes people don't like it. Like,
yeah. So Courtney, I'm going to put you on here for a few minutes. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Cool. Yeah, you're on. You're loud and clear. Okay, so let's go ahead and walk through it real quick. This is going to be really fun. I'm excited for this. So
give us a little bit of background about the site.
Yeah, so this is a new site, or it was at least redesigned and went live in January. So don't have a ton of historical data yet to really see what's working and what's not, but it's certainly a vast improvement from our previous website. But we basically design racks and enclosures for electronics, mainly for the aerospace and defense industry.
Very nice.
Very cool.
I like that. So one thing that I would say, kind of just based on what we've done a ton of this. You see how this is, by the way, over here. Yesterday, my mouse was almost running out of, I have to charge it. I have an Apple. And every time I tried to click, half the time it wasn't working. So I'm not a big fan of sliders like this. I would actually think about what is our most popular products and think through that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing.
Okay.
Products for electronic systems, equipment racks, enclosures, and installation kit that safeguard vital electronics. So I have a rule that I like to apply to headlines. And by the way, if we're talking about testing, this is kind of prime candidate for testing.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking through that. This is basically what we're selling, correct? Products for electronic system. I like that. This is the functional aspect of why people buy the product. This is where Courtney goes out and starts talking to customers and understanding kind of like the Japanese 5 whys. Let's drill a bit deeper. And that becomes my sub headline, my second headline, correct? There's the functional aspect so people understand exactly what we do. But then kind of let's figure out kind of the emotional side, the social side of why people buy this equipment, what drives that. COTS or custom design, it's definitely designed for a specific market that you're going after, correct?
Yes.
Request a code. Okay. Let me just see if I say request a code. So I'm actually going to go for a second. So here's my theory. And lots of conversion optimizers will disagree with this, but I think in B2B is perfect. I think if somebody who had just landed on your website, this is way too early to ask them for to say, hey, request. I'm still getting to know you, by the way. I'd like to learn about your products and what you offer. Way too early. I think what you want to offer at the very top, and lots of optimizers, because, again, marketers, we copy each other. Everybody has like the CTA and large, believe me, I'm sure this is very expensive equipment, correct?
Yes, it can be.
When somebody wants to buy from you, when you drive them to that emotional side, and I want to buy from AJ, manufacturing, they will find that button. Now, don't do something silly like hiding the button around, but at the same time, over here, I would take them actually to our products. And I see over here, so light duty rack, racks are high strength and compact footprint. I would have added a little bit more description, but let's see. So I'm going to go over here to custom enclosures and let's click on that. Since 1995, has specialized in design, manufacture of customer specified enclosures. Our enclosures range in size. Okay. I don't mean to offend you, Courtney, but what happens is as you're reading this, it's almost like you had a brochure and then you took it and you just threw it over here, correct? It's sort of boring. And I'm sure that your competitors are doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then the whole site, by the way, is nicely designed, but you can do so much better. I don't know you guys after I see the website. It feels a little bit boring, but guess what? I know that like people tell me like B2B and you got to be formal. I'm like, oh no, because that's what everybody else is doing. Let's stand out. Let's be a little bit different. You don't have to push it all the way, but I'm sure if I talk to your sales guys, they don't talk this way. Your successful sales guys and gals, they're probably like, have a different way of talking. So let's listen to them as they're like, pitching their like, your product when somebody calls them and how they actually do something like that. This is, by the way, a page where I would run all of the site, but I would run like, heat maps on it and record also session recordings. There's plenty of software that does that. And I would see like, are people scrolling down? Do they actually highlight those or they just ignore them completely? No, come on. I'm not a robot. How often do you guys get spammed? A lot?
We had a big problem with it on our previous domain, the hosting, the site got hacked. So this is there, I think, really as a precaution. It's not on every form, but we do have it on this one because we're getting like weird torrent files and things like that.
Okay, so hold on. Please download and fill the design requirements sheets PDF, then upload it using the form below. So, and then you upload it and then you submit. By the way, a CTA over here, no one likes to submit. Correct. So upload design file, but this feels very clunky to me. So I would think through like, this process because you're trying to do two things. One is the submit, and notice, by the way, always think about how people read. I'm going down here and then you're taking me down here. Okay. So I'm going to go down and then I'm going to come back and submit over here. Correct. I would align it. And remember, small details like this send a signal about the company, correct? Like,
sure.
Yeah, I'm going to trust you with enclosures and they're so beautifully designed, but the website doesn't give that. I'm just going to click on one page and the company, AG Manufacturing Company, AG is small. Wow. Hold on. You have a treasure over here, but you're hiding it. Seriously. It's a small woman-owned California corporation that was founded in 1953. Don't you compete in a male-dominated industry or no?
Yeah, of course.
I would bring that. Oh my God. That is such a powerful thing, by the way. Don't hide it. If you got something that makes you, it's a small company, woman-owned, you know what I'm saying? Your personality needs to come through. The ownership needs to come through. Some of this stuff, I'm not sure if like matters to me how much space you occupy. Rethink about this. If I'm having lunch with Courtney and she's going to tell me about the company, some of the stuff you will mention to me that you're woman owned, correct? You're not going to mention to me that you're 45,190 square feet, correct? Let's think about us page. In B2B, what I find is about us page is one of the most visited pages, by the way. So I would think and look at your analytics.
Courtney, I want to ask real quick, is A&J a family-owned company?
Yes.
Okay. So I always love, and this happens with a lot of our clients as well. Like I always love leaning into the founder story. So you can go all the way from the genesis of it. There's always a great story. We had one client who does cable manufacturing. The guy who started the company was a logger who randomly met a guy at a bar who worked for Intel, and he ended up doing a job for him. He ended up being, he ended up starting his cable company in Oregon as a result of it. It was phenomenal. And he's a very unassuming man. I would lean into the founder story on your About Us page, and then sort of describe the lineage of how it ended up being a woman-owned business. I think that's super compelling. It's interesting to people for sure. And Khalid's data bears that out. I mean, one of our clients who I do heat map analysis for, the About Us page is, I think, the second most frequented page from the main nav, aside from like the main services page. And so people are trying to learn about who they're buying from. And so this is your chance here to tell that story and really create something memorable. This is where you lean into the storytelling aspect of your company.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. We are in the process of trying to put together a video, kind of interview style, with the original founder, and then her daughter, who is now kind of running the show.
Oh, wow. So it's
going to get both of
by a woman as well?
Yes. Well, she was co-owner. Yeah, co-owner.
It was
co-founder.
Co-founded by a woman in the 50s. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's an amazing
yeah.
It's an amazing story. I mean, think about this. Listen, here's what I believe. fundamentally, regardless of the business, there's always competition, correct? And everybody copies everybody else. That's what's happening, correct? And everything has been commoditized, and that's a problem. So I need to figure out how I stand out. And how I stand out sometimes is by my founders and our story. Sometimes people tell me, well, the service we provide is really great. Well, guess what? Your competitor is saying the same thing, correct? And we're not going to be able to stand out. However, our heritage and how we were founded and bringing that and really showing it to the site can be very, very powerful. I'm going to the last thing, oh my God, if we have 9 websites, it's going to take a while.
I know, it's going to take forever. So, I mean, we should do this real fast and we can jump to the next one.
You probably don't need all this information, by the way. Company, contact, city, zip. We can get the company and we can look up most of this information, oh, come on. I'm still contacting, trying to get information. Customer RQ request, Navy program.
This is a lot of information.
Yeah, there's way too much information. Remember, the goal from the contact is let's get somebody who's qualified. I might ask them, a little bit more information, but you're expecting way too much information.
Yeah.
I hope this was helpful.
I would figure out what's the least amount of fields you can put into your form that will allow your team to follow up with them adequately.
Exactly.
Okay.
Paul,
thank
you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Courtney, for volunteering your website. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we are looking at Horton.
Horton. All right. If you're here from Horton, raise your hand. There's Horton here. I don't see them. So look, if they're not here, I would just, it's Phil. Phil, come on up. Hey, Phil. Phil, DM me on LinkedIn. Phil, can you talk? Are you here?
Yeah, I am. You might hear my wife talking in the background. We share an office, but roll with it.
Wives have a way of doing that, by the way. So
yeah.
At least
better half
get
for
kicked
sure.
out. Yeah, I mean, I get kicked out. Like, leave, I'm not sure. I don't even fight. So give us a little bit of background, Phil.
Sure. So we're Horton. We manufacture cooling systems for large on and off highway machinery, trucking, mining, construction, ag, gensets, those sorts of things. So global company, been around since the 50s, nice. Smaller, less than 500 employees, family owned. So a little bit like Courtney's in some respects, I would say. One of our things, and I'm sure you can probably tell, is we're kind of fragmented. So we have an on-highway side of the business and an off-highway side. And then the on-highway side is kind of split. We do both OE, so selling to like Peterbilt and big players like that to spec on their original equipment. But then we play in the aftermarket too, which is the wild west of truck parts, kind of like automotive parts, if you want to think about an analogy that we all can relate to. So yeah, that's us.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. World-class engine cooling solutions. I can come up probably with better headline. I'm always weary of world-class. Because I'm sure your competitors also say they're world-class, and at some point, correct, just like customer centricity, when everybody repeats it, it's like it loses its. When you say world-class, what does that mean? Correct? Think about numbers. Actually, when people see those numbers, they start thinking to themselves, oh man, they are special. They stand out. They are different than their competitors. Don't say that you're different than your competitors, but show it, correct? And I love to show it through numbers. I think that can speak volume to how you guys are better than the competition. Remember we had talked with Courtney about the benefits. Same thing applies over here. Optimized airflow means better performance, lower noise, fuel savings, reduced emissions, and most importantly, happy customers. I can do better with this. This seems like, just kind of like, okay, well, here's the benefits and let's just throw them out, correct? Like this. I hope that's you like one of them. And do you feel that people connect with this? Maybe yes, maybe no. I think we can do better with this.
So do you guys sell direct or sell through distribution?
Both.
Okay.
Mostly through distribution, at least on the aftermarket side.
From the looks of it, you want people to search, correct? Is that what we want people to do?
If they're in our aftermarket audience, yeah. That's probably the main of those 3 groups that comes to our site.
Okay.
So many people come looking for, okay, I've got this part I need to replace. which Horton part's going to get me there. So we have this entire separate experience that's our catalog. If you enter a VIN or a part number here, it takes you to that.
Okay, very good. So I'm gonna mention this because we worked with an car auto parts, like also a manufacturer, and what we found out is they actually also had the VIN number, and most people did not have that. And they had to search by the make and model and year and all of that experience. So I would think about that because also I recall that our clients relied on this, but what we found out is not many people, lots of times they come here and oh, I gotta get my VIN, and they struggle to find that. So I would give people another way to search, and then to kind of try and simplify that process somewhat. So that's one thing. I like, by the way, the fact that it's right away, I can click on both of those. So which one is a bigger one for you guys? The on highway, off highway?
On highway is bigger.
Okay, let's click there. Okay, so on highway. Okay, this somehow I think is done probably on highway. Cooling system over 65 years, you'll find fans. Fan sounds to me like SEO content over here, I'm guessing. It seems like it. But by the way, look at this. So if I look at the page over here, you want people to go with either fans or drives, correct? At least that's what the page layout is telling me.
For sure.
But I have to look for it, by the way. If somebody is not fully committed, they need to search, they need to scroll down. So heat maps on this page can tell you a lot. And if this is important, I need to bring it on top over here. I mean, nice picture conveys the brand, but it's really ultimately whatever I do needs to actually push ultimately the goal of the page, which is getting people to either fans or drives. So we're going to go to fans, view fans by diameter, molded. Okay, let's say I'm coming and I'm searching for this, for this specific fan. Do you see how many pages I had to go through if I didn't specifically know, I'm just browsing? 20% of your visitors are going to use that search functionality that you had on the homepage. The other 80% are going to actually navigate. But you see how many clicks? How can we actually make that journey faster for them?
Phil, how many different products do you have in your product catalog or in your part number system?
Yeah. I mean, these base models you're looking at, there's probably 50 between fans and fan drives, but then every single one is customized to a specific application. So if you look at the actual catalog, you're talking 20,000 different part numbers.
Okay. Name, email, phone. I probably don't need a message, or if I put a message, I would not put it. I just feel that the journey that you have is way too long until somebody locates something if they don't know. And the trick there, every page that you can cut out from the journey, you can expect almost a 5 to 8 to 10% increase in conversions. Let's help people get to the right destination that they want. And by the way, this is where usability testing is great. You say, okay, you know what? Let's say we're selling an HS1 or 11A nylon fan. We'll ask people to see how many pages does it take them to get to that page, and how long does it take them? Does it take them 4 minutes? Can we get them to that page in 2 minutes? Because that's ultimately what we want. We want them to get there in less pages and in less time. And then I would do heat map and I would do session recordings to see, are people highlighting items on the page? Are they clicking different things? If you notice that, let's say you have session recording, you notice that people are clicking, well, maybe we need to add more information there. Otherwise, I think the site is nicely constructed. You just need to think about the customer journey and finding information. Findability is a big one.
Yeah, awesome. If I have any other criticisms of it, it's that it's too product focused to begin with, and we need to have better educational content further out front too.
That's
I don't
marketing.
think many people
correct?
go on Google and search HS11A fan. They search fan for mine haul truck. So we're trying to do more content around that as well. But this is super helpful. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate you volunteering.
Awesome. Let's pull up.
Let's go for our next one.
Okay, and here we
Next
go.
up is Alliance LLC. If you're here, raise your hand. Sandra, let's allow Sandra to talk.
Hey, Sandra.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Sandra, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Well, thanks so much for volunteering your website.
Thank you for doing it. Oh, you're looking at the whole site. Ah.
I'll go to the splash page. I'll go to the splash page. Move it, feed it, fold it, stack it. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty good value prop right there.
Yeah.
Like, all the things I want to do with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I always say, when I living in Turkey, if you attended the webinar, I don't speak Turkish. I always tell people, as a rule, when I look at a page and I don't speak the language, let's assume that this is written, I don't know, in Greek. I should be able to tell where you want me to click. You know, if the site is well designed, I should be able to say, you know what, Sandra wants me to click. I'm not sure where she wants me to click, actually, because I see 3 calls to action, and it's almost like you guys are really not sure which one is more important. So we're going to just throw them out, and they use the same color. Correct, learn more. Contact us, learn more. So we need to think about that. Again, this is purely from design. It's like there's text. Well, no, imagine that this is in a different language. So tell me which one is most important between those 3. Oh, that's
I'm pausing because if you look at our homepage, it's also split between Americas and Eurasian products. And I have pushed, doing one and then letting them get into the rest later. So I would say pick the first one, the products Americas, because that would be a larger base, a larger group of people coming here.
Well, let me ask you this question. When we talk about Eurasia, this is for customers in Europe, Asia, is that correct? Or are they here in the US, but ordering for Europe?
Europe. I would say mostly Europe. I don't know why they added the Asia.
I mean, you're doing it. But you can, like, with simple technology, you can figure out where the visitor is coming from, by the way.
Right. Mostly Americas.
Okay, so in that case, I would focus. I mean, look at this, by the way. Like, you guys have this debate. At least this is what the design is telling me, correct? Where should we focus? Eurasia, North America, South America, contacts. When somebody's ready to contact you, they'll find those contact information. But what you're saying is like, oh, I really want you to contact us, and here's the different offices. Unusual, by the way. To me, if America is kind of the center, I will focus it over here. And I would do something simple, looking customer base, in Europe, Asia, click over here, take them there. If I'm gonna try and contact you, I will find this contact information, put it for me, somewhere, contact us, and then you can have a listing, select the location, and you'll show them the information. But you've used primary real estate. I mean, this is the top section of the page, and you're still you've wasted at least about 66% of it on on things that people are not using.
Thank you. This is called when executives influence the design of a page.
You know what, Sandra? This is where A/B testing. So you get your designer, you sit there and you design it, and you tell them, hey, here's my theory that people are not clicking, and let's see, and let's measure which one is better. That's where A/B testing works wonders. Gotcha. Tell them but you gotta have a management who's willing to accept the opinion of visitors. We've had one client. We showed them 40% increase in sales. And he's like, oh, I hate it. I'm like, I mean, 40% more sales? He's like, I hate it. I can't do this. I'm like, all power. It's your business at the end. So I can't really force you. I've shown you the data, but you decide. But
yeah, this is one of those things where maybe you want to put your website on Google Optimizer or something like that, and just test a totally different layout and split test till you get 1,000 visits. And just see what the data tells you in terms of how they interact on your website, what they click on, how long they stay on, or how much they scroll. This is the perfect scenario to just play that game and just see what's more impactful to your visitors. My hunch would tell me that simplifying this would do you wonders. But that's, again, just a hypothesis.
Exactly. So lots of times people tell me, oh, are you sure? I'm like, it's called testing. It's not called for sure, because visitors have a way of humbling me over the years. I'm like, I'll look at design. I'm like, for sure it's going to increase conversions, and then visitors do something else. I'm like, really, guys? About Alliance. So this language over here, this is not the language that you more than 40 years. Spokane Valley, Washington-based, Alliance Machine Systems International, LLC. The minute I saw the LLC, no one introduces their business as
written by
Sorry, that's the business journalist in me coming out.
I was gonna say like no, it's like what's your business? Invest LLC. And like nope. Okay, so we're gonna go. I'm gonna click and products USA. Uh, okay, take this by the way. I'm weary of the design. This was fine like a few years ago, by the way, like kind of like the background and the colors, because ultimately you're sending a signal, correct? Subconscious signal. So you want to think about that. Even the placement of the images and how they're not blended in, it's like almost they're placed there. This was fine a few years ago, but again, you're sending a message to people. Things like this, where you see like, things are not aligned at the same thing, correct? Up, down, up. No, we need to make sure that this is done correctly. Stock images, not very powerful. I mean, you guys, how many employees you have and how many like in a manufacturer or factories?
We have over 200. And then what did you say about manufacturer?
Like, all the equipment, 200 employees. Go out there, take pictures, real pictures, so much more powerful.
I think that is what actually.
Oh,
from
is it?
Like it must be from the 90s or something.
Okay. I don't want to say that. It's a little old, so you want to fix that. I'm going to just click on one of them. And again, by the way, over here, this is where you want to see heat maps, to see where people are clicking. You might discover that most people are clicking over here. In
which case you want to vault it up.
Exactly. So
we up on the website, yeah.
But we'll go to robotics. Okay. Alliance is the leader in developing robotics to improve box line productivity. For more than 35 years, the company has designed and manufactured 10,000 machines. I like to emphasize numbers. 35 years, 10,000 machines, number of customers, put them there. People rarely read copy like this, especially with this monotone. So kind of think about playing with that. Online training available. It's just, you need to rethink through the design. It's a bit older, so I would refresh it completely.
Yes, thank you.
Because if I'm coming to you, and this is the latest and greatest, correct? And what you guys do, I want also the site to give me that impression. Online training available. Do you think people are thinking about online training at this point when they're looking at this? Because when I look at this, what you're telling me is you want me to click over here on the online training. Remember, I don't know.
Probably looking for an RFI at that point of some kind. Like that would be the CTA for me. Like request more info, request pricing.
Not online training, but I thought you want me to actually. If I look at this, you want to train me, but I didn't even get the pricing for the machine yet, or you know what I'm saying. So I want to think. You want to think through all of this. I hope this was helpful.
Yes, it was. Thank you very much. And it's kind of what I've been saying, but
Well, you can skip this recording and give it to your executive.
Exactly. That's what I have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
So we're going to bring this one over here.
All right. Who's got Aero West? If you're Aero West, raise your hand. Whitney. Whitney's on so many of these webinars. I'm so glad we're going to fit her in. Hi, Whitney.
Hey, Whitney.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear us? All right.
So, Whitney, look at. Are you able to see my screen?
This is me.
This is your.
Yes.
Yeah, Aero West.
I do. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Fine. Yep.
Give us.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is our website, Aero West. We were founded in 1883, so we've been around for over 100 and.
Ooh, I think you might be breaking in and out there, Whitney.
Yeah. Okay. You're breaking, Whitney. I don't know. Let's assume that Whitney can still hear us. So we're gonna start. So I just landed on the website, correct? I'm trying to learn about Aero West, and guess what? This pop-up trending fragrances for your facility.
You're having trouble hearing.
Yeah, I'm having trouble hearing you.
So first thing over here, notice this trending fragrances for your facility 2021. Explore the most popular trends in commercial scenting this year. Guaranteed to delight your customers and energize your employees. I like that. But hey, I'm getting to know you, correct? And the pop-up just appeared right away. First name, last name, and look at the design of the pop-up was thrown really quickly. Doesn't could be improved tremendously. You can always, by the way, combine first name, last name with email, align it first name and last name together in a single field. and little bits of JavaScript magic. I wouldn't even call it magic for about like less than 10 minutes. You can split those into first name, last name. So we're asking for less information. Do we need company name? I would look at actually, I know how important it is and B2B, but what I find with some of our clients is that people like, fill junk names and it's like, oh, I'd rather not have bad information as opposed to like no information as opposed to having like a mixed information and I don't know how to use it. So I'm not ready to download yet.
I'd also say the design of that pop-up kind of belies the design of the website, which is a pretty nice design. And I think the pop-up design is a little
killed it, correct?
Oh,
I agree. Yeah. I agree. The side design is beautiful, by the way. And the pop-up was a complete disconnect from what I saw. That's an issue that I saw. Effective, safe, sustainable solutions for order removal. I like that. Too many things, correct? Effective and safe and sustainable solutions for order removal. Order control, hygiene. Interesting, because
there's no CTA. Like there's nowhere to go.
I thought it was a CTA, by the way. I was clicking, and I'm like, oh, because hygiene services. I thought like I'm like, oh, let me see this. Sent mark and you're segmenting, correct? Here's what we offer, but I expected to click on it and go somewhere, and that did not help. So okay, that's fine. By the way, the site is beautifully designed. I mean, it conveys the message that the design is sending actually goes well with the headline. Sent marketing. I wonder if people search for that. By the way, I'm not familiar with the industry.
I would honestly, that's a curiosity thing, right? I would just ask the question, like, what is sent marketing?
Exactly.
Like, I would just give it a little hook. You know what I mean?
See, like, so I don't like this, by the way. Tracking, like, learn more, but we remained on the same URL.
Yeah.
I like to go to a new page and the site is designed, and you already have the design, by the way. Some SEO guys will block in us like, oh, well, it's like on content, sent marketing. Do you want to provide memorable customer experience? Our personal approach to ambient scenting ensures your facility smells amazing.
Amazingly you.
By the way, I feel that the copy lets me down over here. I was very intrigued with scent marketing, and over here was just like, I expected something more. I expect case studies. I expect really like, by the way, did very well in the initial. You hooked me, you got me intrigued, and over here is like, oh, okay.
Or like even paint a picture of it, right? Like, what is scent marketing smell like? Give me an example, sort of.
Exactly.
You make this, and it probably smells like this. This is what scent marketing does for you. Like, I need a visual. I personally, as someone who is a visual learner, I need to visualize that in my head. Like, what does scent marketing even look like in a scenario?
I think we can do so much more, by the way, with this. Because it's beautifully designed, but then the actual content was a letdown. And remember, it's all about that experience, fragrance creation and customization. I'm like, okay. And again, over here, it's almost like, if this is what we're going to have, by the way, I can just have it over here. I mean,
yeah, you can,
you know what I'm saying?
Like underneath for sure.
Exactly. Like this slider that we have doesn't really add a whole lot of value, because also with some of this over here, here's the benefits, but like, I can make it more compact, probably use better copy as well.
Bigger text too.
So like,
it can be bigger. Yeah.
I wonder how this, I'm looking at a very large monitor, so I wonder how this would look on a smaller device. But I mean, look at the beautiful design over here, order management. Very nice. Customer testimonials, by the way, and B2B. Nothing is better than customer testimonials, case studies. But even better, if I have customers who I like, who bought my products, who bought something from me, I would actually do those interviews. Like, hey, how was it before using our solution? How was it after using our solution? And I would have that before and after. Here's and I would have that as a large headline: before using our solution, after using our solution, because most likely when people are coming to buy your solution, whatever products you offer, they're struggling with specific problems. Let's show it to them. So as somebody comes like, yeah, I have this problem. And you're using the words of your customer, so it's probably not marketing lingo. People can identify with it. So I think that can be very powerful.
I also really like that image, that hero image, and I think it's something worth looking at even on your top of your homepage. personally, but again, just one of those things you could possibly test for yourself.
Yeah, you can test definitely with that. The site is beautifully designed. We can do like the customer testimonials. Yeah, customer testimonials, we can do so much more, with that. If you guys been around for over 120, 130 years, you can do a lot with customers. Let your customers do the selling on your behalf. I'm gonna look at the next slide as I'm clicking over here. Interesting, by the way, I clicked on order products, my accounts, but I'm still like, think about this. I clicked over here because I want to order. Returning buyers log in here, create an account here. Probably need to this threw me off, correct? My account threw me off somewhat. And I'm assuming with most B2B, you sometimes want them to actually create an account first. Maybe I can show them some of the products without the pricing, and then after they create the account, then I can show them the pricing. Select your group. Do I need that or not? First name, last name, username, email. I would combine those, by the way. Email is good enough to create as username. Technical team will push back, but again, we're trying to simplify things for people over here. Create an account here or login over here. So there are improvements that we can do on this page, correct? But this threw me off because I'm order products, and first thing that said it's my account. No, I'm ordering products. Oh, I need to scroll down to create an account. So
right.
Food for thought. Let's jump into the next one.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, who is next here?
Oh, somebody from Chicago. Gotta love Chicago.
Go for it. Who is it?
Chicago commercial.
Summit Design Build. All right.
Summit Design.
Cool. All right, if you're here, raise your hand. Summit. Oh, is Summit here? I hope they are. No.
I
don't see it. Let's go to the next one and see if someone else
is. Okay, and let's see. I think I must have, because there was 9 of them. Okay, so this is Summit DB. We did Air West. We did also Alliance. We did Horton, and who else? And AJ Racks. We did.
How about real quick? Let's look
here. Moldex. One of them.
Yeah.
All
right, Moldex. That's Craig. Craig's another frequenter. Come here, Craig. Hi, Craig. What's up?
By the way, Craig. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, guys.
So same thing, by the way. Look at the design behind. Beautiful. And the pop-up. What's up with the pop-ups? They take away from the site, by the way. It's not. It's almost like thrown as an afterthought after we finish the design of the site. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. What do you think?
It was an afterthought after we finished the design of the site.
Okay.
Yeah. That should always be an exit intent thing. And usually it should be on a key page of your website. For sure, not every page of your website. And then one other note I'd make on pop-up forms like this, never, ever, ever have them on mobile. It's a terrible mobile experience. So just have it on desktop.
Google punishes you, actually.
Do they really? Okay.
Oh, yes, they do.
I didn't know that. But I do know whenever I get a mobile pop-up, I'm like,
really? By the way, this is funny. When you fill those forms, what do you usually fill? You always start with name and then email. You guys decided to flip it, name and email. If I'm filling it, I'm going to start with my name and then I'm going to go to first name, and I'll give you my email address over here. There's a standard that people use. Just put that. I wonder how often people get confused. And look at this. This appeared right away as I landed on the site. I'm still I search and I'm like, oh, sign up to receive, exclusive mailbox updates and announcements. You probably want to give some more social proof, what people think about. I love, and Matt knows this, and it worked, by the way, wonders for us. Whenever people sign up, I always ask them, I send them that personalized email. Hey, so what made you sign up for our email list? Every day in the morning, I get emails of people telling me why they signed up, and I use it on LinkedIn. I use it in our sign up form. It's kind of that social proof why people are signing up. So I would do something like that. But so let's see, respiratory, hearing, industrial application resources. Fine. Give me a little bit of background.
We make hearing and respiratory protection mostly for industrial end users, some medical and government end users.
Okay, I like that.
And we only sell through distributors, so we don't sell on the website. Conversions for us, I think, are the thing we're looking for the most. I would say would be sample requests.
Okay. I like that. Do you guys track, like, like the sample requests that you get? How about information, like, because sometimes you're supporting that sales process or looking for a dealer?
You mean the information about the people that requesting the samples?
No, like, informational, like, somebody like is looking at a product and they need to get more information. Do you expect your website to provide that information or not?
Good question. I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I think that there should be some. There is an educational component to this, as far as what type of respirator do I need, or what type of earplug do I need, or something like that.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna scroll down over here. So one thing that I see, by the way, over here is, again, here's the top things. Let's throw them together. I wonder, and I would look at heat maps and I look at analytics to see how often people are clicking over here. Which one is the most? Maybe people are clicking more on hearing more than the respiratory. Maybe they're looking at I like, by the way, how you've done it with the industries. How did you come up with the order of things that you show over here?
I think it's in alphabetical order.
Not quite alphabetical, is it?
GH. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it looks in alphabetical order.
It is.
I wonder, I would look at this, by the way. These are all questions that come to my mind. If one of them is more popular than others, how would I do something like that? But alphabetical actually also works. You might find out that some of them, in the last 6 months, people are really not clicking on it. So what can I do to improve that? By the way, this is asking for a lot of people. Yeah. You see this multi-level navigation over here.
Mm-hmm.
That not highly recommended. So I would actually think about that. And this is the fine balance, correct, between trying to get somebody to the right place right away versus also complicating them getting to the right place. So that's kind of I would look at this and see how often people are clicking. I would watch session replays of people coming to the site. Same thing that I've commented, by the way, over here. Which one is more important? You're telling me they're all equal, and maybe they are all equal, but I can look at my data and I can see that most of my website visitors are actually interested maybe in respirators. So I would focus on that, or maybe they're focused on hearing protection. Right now you're putting them all equal to each other, and small details in design. You see how this is not quite aligned, correct? It's it is not. It is.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Craig. You said that a big conversion point for you was people asking for samples. I'm not clear where to do that anywhere on the site.
It would be from each product page, but yeah.
But I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that. I have to get to the product and then ask for a sample. And let me see. So I'm just going to go to the respirators. Okay. So over here, compliance just got a whole lot easier with the 7,000. This Moldex has created the most user-friendly, usable respirator mask on the market. We streamlined the design to require fewer parts for less maintenance. Okay. And then this video, and then here let's click on one of those. By the way, and I have fast connection. Oh, I still going by. You see what's happening here, the journey and how long it is. So I started. I'm going to go back for a second. But the site feels slow. By the way, do you know what's your load time?
No, that's something I can look into.
Page speed, insights. As we're doing this, let's do that. Let's see what Google gives you guys and this particular page, and then we'll continue over here. So I'm going through the 7,000 series, correct? This is the 7,800.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to go to the 7,000. Here's our 7,000. Okay, 7,000 reusable masks, and I'm going to click again. And so we have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages in before I can.
Exactly, before I got there.
6 levels in before I can.
Before I got there.
Yeah.
Do you request free trial or you request free sample? I guess I'm not sure.
It depends on the product.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. And then what I see over here, and you can correct me, is you guys had a brochure and then you took it and you just put it online.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the copy that's with the sites. I would look at some of the top products that you guys sell that people request the most, and I would play with the copy for a little bit. Get creative, let those creative juices flow and try different things. And I'm not telling you for all the products that you sell, just pick the top 3 and see what you can do, because okay, this is reusable. Every one of your competitors that sell the masks and will have the same copy, correct? The benefits and the features, but when people buy, they're probably not thinking through this. How can we get a little bit more creative and just kind of show them? I'm just kind of looking.
I like your page design. I almost feel like you guys are in between, whether you're a B2B site or you're like an e-com site. It just it almost has an identity crisis to me a little bit in terms of the navigation and stuff. I don't know if Khalid, you feel that
I thought this was going to be an e-commerce, by the way, and even the site structure. You see the URL. Product, I don't see that's a lot on kind of B2B, but I can tell I'm whoever thought about it as from has some e-commerce background and was fascinated. Oh, this is bad news, but it's also good news. You're 10 out of 100 in mobile. Very slow. Even 56. I think you can improve that. By the way, 50. Sometimes people keep on chasing this to the point, but on mobile. 10, I'm concerned about that. So I would optimize that, because that will help your SEO. That will help your conversion, by the way, as well. I'm just going to click on where to buy. Oh, interesting. Okay. So this is kind of but you're and what people are going to be doing over here. They're going to be using Control F to look for the where to buy. I wonder if there is, because this is ultimately, that's what we want to get them to, a distributor, correct?
Yeah.
I would think, and remember, that's what you told me, kind of the ultimate goal is we want to get them to a distributor and maybe either a sample also or I guess a sample or maybe some more product information. If this is a highly visited page, this is a page that scares me. So, I would play with that, with this page design tremendously. Last thing I want to just see, I keep on saying the last thing, by the way, where's the about us? Our company, why are you hiding it, guys? I like that about us. That's our chance. Oh, I see why you're hiding it. No, we got to do a better job of telling our story right now. Most recognized, respected names in hearing and respiratory protection, industrial worker safety, comfort, quality. I'm sure one of your competitors can take the same thing. Remove your name, puts their name, and the copy would sound the same, correct?
Yeah.
Nothing personal about it, by the way. And then no vision, mission. Most people don't really care about that, by the way. I know we love to put it as B2B companies. Most of they're not thinking I want to see the people behind it. I want to see how it is to do business with you. That's what I'm thinking. So
Makes sense.
I hope this was helpful. I'm going to take the last site unless we have.
I want to do Field Fastener if they're here. If not, I had someone drop one in the chat here that I want to use. Or also we have Loring or Komar Industries, or the other two. Wait, okay. Hold on, someone raised their hand. Is that Andrea? Okay, Andrea's here.
Okay. Which site is that?
That is Andrea's Field Fastener, right? Let's allow Andrea to talk. Andrea, are you there?
Yield.
Yes, I am.
All right, and you are Field Fastener, right?
Yep.
Cool. That's what we have lined up next.
Integrity, commitment, teamwork, innovation, flexibility, fun. So, Andrea, when I look at this, I still have no clue what you guys do. This I can put probably, now it changed, correct? Fastening solutions. But one thing about these sliders, when things change, correct? And this is what's happening over here. I always tell marketers, it's probably you're not able to commit to one thing. So you're trying multiple things and you keep on changing them. Or there's everybody wants to have something different. What is the most important thing? Or if you want, by the way, this is a perfect A/B test. Mm-hmm. Different pages, some of them will have this integrity, commitment, teamwork. The other one is going to have, we believe that we can, if you want to test that. Or fastening solutions. I personally believe that when somebody lands on your website, you want to tell them what you do. Here's what we do, because 20% of the people are there by mistake and they're like, oops, no, wrong thing. Goodbye and good luck. Thank you. We don't actually want you to stay on our site. So I would tell them exactly what we do. That's my headline. But another headline, so fastening solutions without what do people complain about when it comes to buying solutions like yours? Tell me.
Well, basically, we focus on the cost driving. We basically provide cost savings to our customers through data-driven VMI and technical services. So that's kind of your fastening solutions. That's your VMI and your technical services.
Fastening solutions without the outrageous costs or something like that. Without, when people are thinking about fastening solutions, they're always thinking, oh, this might be expensive. Then let's figure out the two things that people complain about, and let's add that to our headline over here, where people are intrigued. They're like, oh, okay. So without the hassle that other solutions or people struggle with. Let's put that in our headlines that produce immediate and long-term cost savings guaranteed. Tell me more.
We provide guaranteed cost savings year over year to our customers. So that's why we want them to partner with us. I don't know if you're familiar with like a Fastenal. So they're like our biggest competitors. We differ from them because we actually go into your facility, find those cost savers, and then provide additional features from there. We don't just provide you the fastener or the part and say, here you go.
Yeah.
So why is it above the fold? Like you guys say more than a part to partner. I would just say we guarantee like cost savings year over year. I would just if that.
By the way, so powerful, correct, Matt?
Yeah, super powerful. Yeah. That's going to perk my ears up if I'm someone interested in this kind of thing. I'm going to go, well, they guarantee that. Okay. I have to at least see what that's about.
Your site is there to intrigue somebody to say, oh, okay, that's unusual. That's what I want.
Compelling value proposition.
Exactly. When you say guarantee, it's like, hey, we guarantee that. It's like, oh, okay. Others can't. I'm intrigued. I want to hear about it some more.
Mm-hmm.
More than parts, a partner, and you guys have that trademark. Field is full service, data driven, on demand fastener supply, engineer partner that provides year over year cost savings. You said that, by the way, but I think you can just say it in a very simple language. This is marketing lingo, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But how can we say it in a way that's just like, bam, it hits somebody, correct? It's like, whoa, I didn't expect something like that. The problem is look at this. Field is a full service, data driven, on demand, fastener supply, and you've lost me. You really did. Even if I'm interested, it's sort of blends in, correct? And you want,
Khalid, I feel like on your website, you should just be putting that into a Z pattern, like full service. What does that mean? Okay, learn more. Data driven. What does that mean? Like data driven, we do X, Y, Z to ensure that your thing does this. Learn more. On demand. What does that mean? Like we have a global footprint, so we're within minutes from wherever your business is. Learn more, or locate us, or talk to us.
Yeah,
I feel like each of those things are their own sort of sub headlines that you should be into a little bit more on your website. It's going to keep people on. Someone will identify with one of those value propositions, and you probably will basically triple your ability to get a conversion based on what somebody will find more compelling.
Exactly. Yeah. And by the way, this is something just kind of for you to think about, because it takes a while to think through this, but as you figure them out, I'm weary sometimes of using terms that everybody else uses, correct? Mm-hmm. I'll talk about us in marketing. We are an extension of your team. Everybody says the same thing. We are an extension of your team. And I'm like, it became meaningless, correct? We will get to know you so well. We will know how you take your coffee. Oh,
that's pretty personal.
Exactly. It's like, wow, okay. You see what I'm saying? Because there are some phrases that people repeat so much, and everybody repeats. As I always tell people, I'm like, we have an AI solution, and I'm looking and I'm like, God, man, so many people throw the term around that it almost loses its meaning. And 90% of the AI solutions nowadays are not really AI solutions. They're like, they wouldn't even make just barely program. So I would want to be going back to Matt's, what he said is like, okay, what does this mean? How can I actually use language that people say, oh, this is really cool. When I say it's data driven, how can I express that? And what does it mean to them? And some of those messages will resonate with people.
This is one of those things where I feel like if you were able to talk to some of your customers to figure out, because I know who Fastenal is. Maybe Khalid doesn't know quite as much. Fastenal is a giant. They are the 800-pound gorilla in your industry. And so you should be talking to customers to differentiate yourselves strongly from Fastenal and make sure your website copy does exactly that.
Mhm.
I love, by the way, to be the underdog against the giant gorilla in the room, because I'm like, oh, I can do things and I can use copy they will never be able to use, and I can move a lot faster. So there's an advantage there. Versus fighting is a giant wants regular updates from field. Why tell me more? Okay, sign me up. This, how many people are on the list? Again, our subscribers receive the latest on fastening and joining products via my supply chain. I can do something better, correct?
And that's something we're kind of tossing around. So this website was designed in December. So I'll tell you, since December, we've maybe had 5 to 10 people a month click that link and actually sign up. So it's not a very high rate. So that's kind of what we're determining now. Do we keep that? Do we switch our approach, or what to do with that?
It may be better off as an exit intent for yourself as well. And again, it's probably the value proposition of that conversion. You're asking for the minimal amount of information with an email address, so it's got to be something else, right? It's not I have too many form fields.
I agree.
So I would think about whether it's placed properly on your website, whether your value proposition is strong enough. And then sometimes it actually just comes down to the execution on the back end, right? Like, what do you actually give them for their email address? So what's the email marketing strategy? Are you curating content and sending it to them? Or are you simply sending them your catalog every couple months? So, considering what you will do for that website or for that email address and how you'll give them value on the back end of it.
Okay.
So over here, our solutions.
Website.
Sorry?
Nicely designed website overall.
I like the design. Actually. Yeah, this is like modern, value added engineering, data driven BMI, best source on the planet, world-class culture. But our solution is a world-class culture. I guess that's, you're trying to describe it over here. So I felt a little bit of a disconnect in this, and I would definitely look at heat maps and just really understand. I wonder, and I'm wondering again, people might your data might show otherwise. How interested are people in the world-class culture versus the best source on the planet versus data-driven BMI? So those are all questions, correct? Global sourcing, local execution. I like this, by the way. I was seeing a headline by a company, and I liked them. I'm like, oh, I gotta use this somewhere. Built by industry leaders, serviced by people who will know your first name. Something like we're like, oh, this is really good. So these are the different industries. The problem is I have to highlight it, correct, to recognize. So I would actually have the name of the industry over here right away. I mean, some of it is obvious, some of it's not so obvious. Don't rely on the visitor to do any thinking, correct? Don't make me think, as a rule. And something else I like to do, by the way, with these, I like the design, the large design, but as they highlight it, I would have the name highlighted, healthcare/medical. As they highlight it, I like to split this and show the results. Some of the high level results, some of the savings that we do, some, on average healthcare, and you can pull some of that data, correct? Like we save 8%, 10%, and then allow them to click to read through.
Yeah, it's a great point, especially given that you guys bank yourselves on being data driven. You obviously probably have something from a quantitative standpoint you could share to entice them for that next step.
And then this is Andrea, homework for you. Your sales guys know exactly. I'm sure different industries have different messages. Sales guys have developed that. Healthcare, they'll the way they will pitch healthcare is completely different than agriculture, correct? Listen to those phone calls. Listen to the questions that people are asking. Listen to the sales guys and how they're doing it. Right now, beautifully designed, thin content, correct? It's like, oh, here we need to have a page, about healthcare, and that's it. We threw it together. I'm sure there's lots of questions. I would listen to a couple of phone calls with, kind of the healthcare and the hospitals and see what questions they have. How our sales guys, and kind of customize the content over here. I'm just going to look at.
Yeah, they definitely were. So rail is one of our biggest industries. So on our old website, we had a whole landing page for just rail. And then we decided that was kind of narrowing ourselves out. People thought we just did rail. So then we added all of these. And as you can tell, they were kind of thin right now.
Yeah. And then it's the same content, by the way. because so yeah, I like, I mean, people are not going to navigate, but and case studies. Oh
man, yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Higher up.
Exactly. And
You're your lead here.
Look at this, 341,000 cost savings. I would, as a designer, tell him, you know what, this $341,216, I want it to be here, large. I don't know what you need to do, but I want somebody to see it right away. It's like, like, wow, here's something like, I've saved. Numbers are offered customers 65, like, look at this. Why is this hiding over here? The $65,000 and like, and the 242 labor hours savings. That's a lot more interesting than this headline, by the way. I love numbers. Numbers say a very powerful story, correct?
Yeah.
So I would add more of that. Video case studies are very powerful as well. That you can do something really absolutely amazing with, customers and bring that high up the page. Let's see. Oh, okay. I mean, you have the numbers. You just need to bring them to the homepage.
Yeah.
Let's bring it if we have it. Yeah, I think
very nice challenge solution results framework. Pretty standard. I love how what I would do on a page like this, I'd make those numbers even bigger. I literally throw them kind of across, like on a 3-column sort of Elementor, and just like make it like an H2 or an H3, just bold it out, make it huge, so people can very clearly see exactly what they're going to be reading about. I would almost put that up top over the challenge, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, you have some information here if you got to flaunt it. So
yeah, flaunt it. Yeah, flaunt it if you got it.
There you go. Okay, right. Let's take one more site, Matt.
One more site. Oh,
sorry guys for keeping you. I hope that's people are benefiting from this. By the way,
hold on. I had another person send me one. We had Komar. Is Komar here? Komar, if you're here, show yourself. Let's see. No, I don't see Komar here. Okay, so Melissa is still here, and I want to just do Novark because she messaged me about it. So I'll find it. I'm going to put it in the chat for you.
Put it in the chat. Hold on. Let's see the chat.
It's that one.
Okay, so Nova. Okay, Novark Tech, correct?
Yes, novarktech.com.
Okay, let's go to novarktech.com. Robotic welding. Oh, I like the video background, by the way. Increase productivity with the world first welding cobot. Okay.
Cobot, collaborative robot.
See, I'm like, like sometimes. Okay. Novar's pipe spool wielding robots. Okay. Dramatically boost productivity and shop capacity, deliver superior weld quality, and improves welder ergonomics.
Oh, Melissa, let me bring you on. Sorry. You're here.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Melissa. Good to hear from you.
Hey.
Yeah, thank you. I joined late. That's why I just put it on the chat. Sorry about that.
No, you're okay. You're okay. Thanks so much for being here. Khalid, just full disclosure, Melissa and I worked together for a little while, for a couple of years. So we've got a little bit of history, but yeah, let's go through it. So
let's go through it.
Thank you.
Awesome. So marketers, we love to use the words dramatically boost productivity. I don't know what that means. Let's bring some numbers into that. So when people see it, dramatically boost productivity, I might think of one thing. You're like, customer thinks something else. Matt's thinking something else. Guess what? Show me with the numbers what that means. And I will think that it actually dramatically boosts productivity. Correct shop capacity. What does that mean? Superior weld quality. What does that? If you can show the numbers, that is very powerful. But by the way, I think the video over here that you have, increased productivity with the world's first welding cobot, very powerful. A breakthrough in productivity with the pipe spool welding robots. Okay, so now we're talking about for fabricators, for welders, learn more. So people will self-identify themselves, which I like. Let's say I'm a welder. So actually, before I'm going to click, let's continue. Define the new collaborative welding workspace, human skill, enhanced by technology to increase profits. No case studies. Case studies can be very powerful, by the way, over here, but I will follow the site. I love to show case studies before and after, and especially like, when we're talking about something like this, how was it, how was, the shop capacity before using before using our robots, how is it after? How was the productivity before? This is where you interview your customers and ask them, say, oh, hey, how was it before? How is it now? We increased productivity by 20%. We've cut down the hours. We've now we can have more space in hours. Things like that can be very powerful, because somebody might come to you and they say, well, we have an issue with space. We have an issue with our productivity. We want to improve productivity by 20, 30%. As they see the problems that people were dealing with and how they use your solution, that can be very powerful. A lot better than any marketing that you will do. Your customers doing the sales on your behalf. But let's say I'm a welder, so I'm going to click learn more.
It's interesting because we have it under customer stories, but case studies is more well known, so people may not even see it.
So
interesting.
Very nice, by the way. You have it up there, but guess what? Look at the percentage of people. I'm willing to bet less than 20% are actually using your top navigation. Again,
what do you think?
Sorry, say that again, Matt.
Why do you think that is?
Most people like to click through and they will ignore a good chunk of the navigation on top. There's a certain percentage, usually anywhere between 5 to 10%, 5 to 15% that will use the search. If you have search, they will search. There is about also 20% that use the top navigation to navigate. And then what you see is kind of like contextual links in the copy. As they're going through the site, they click through. That's the majority of the people that stick around. So that's why it's important. So we have customer stories, success stories, case studies. I would actually, so if you have them, bring them there to the homepage, correct? Where you're showing. If I have customers, and we're not going to subscribe right now. Again, what we had mentioned with the previous sites, on exit, use that. You should be able to get anywhere between 1 to 1.5% to 2% of the people on exit intent to click. If you're getting less than that, I would play with the copy, with the value proposition. I'm going to click subscribe now. So we're asking first name, last name. I would combine those. They're not very important, but I'll mention it again. Notice how the validation happened as I clicked out of the field, correct? I still have not filled anything. So, okay, so. Okay, I'm not going to subscribe because.
Yeah.
So here is something beautifully designed, correct? But this is the whole real estate of the page. The future of welding is you. And I still don't know. So you're expecting people to scroll down quite a bit. I'm weary of although it's a beautiful design, I'm weary of using a full page and having people to scroll down. What can I do over here? I can push this headline a little bit up, add a little bit of text to capture their interest, correct? Our spool welding robot combines advanced automation technology with human input to produce fast, efficient, and repeatable weld quality. Concentrate on the art of welding. Leave the heavy lifting to Novara collaborative robots. I like this, by the way. Concentrate on the art of welding and leaving the heavy lifting to you guys. Something there could be done. I can add something over here.
My immediate thought on this copy, Khalid, if you go up, I like the second value prop even more than the first. The future of welding is you. I'd almost make that like the big.
That's the main headline.
Text. Yeah, and then what you just referenced there, that's secondary text, right? Yeah.
I agree. Download the brochure English. Download Arabic and English and German. I wonder how. If we can do some geo-targeting over here, by the way. And I wonder how often people, do you know how often are people downloading?
I'm not sure, no, actually.
Yeah, I would look at go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that we get very few visitors from Germany and UAE anyway, so I would say that's very little.
Yeah, and I wonder, over here, if I'm putting text and I want, let's say download, I would put that as CTA. If that's a primary CTA, by the way, that I want people, it's important enough that what I see that you've actually allocated a section to it before anything else, correct? So it looks to me, at least that's what the design is telling me, that this is very important. Well, I could notice what we've done over here. The future of welding is you.
Right.
The second sentence over here, correct? We've cut down the size of this and I put the download, and all of a sudden, we got to this section. By just combining multiple sections together, three sections, we combine them. Okay, so let's see the future of welding is you. I love the user videos. Can I just see something? I'm going to actually click on the play. So I like this. Okay. So I like this. I'm sometimes weary of using YouTube for videos. I like to use an actual dedicated, either a Vimeo or what's the other one that people love to use? There's like a couple of services.
Wistia or Video?
Wistia as well. Like, yeah, exactly. I like to use those because somebody can click on YouTube over here, and then we've taken them out. Although it's our page, we've taken them out, correct, from our funnel. So I want to keep them here.
Right.
And, you know, so that's one thing that I do. Oh, sorry. Let's see if I can figure out. Somebody's calling me. We can send them to voicemail. The amount of spam that I get is incredible. But let's focus over here. Simply move the robot, join and start, welding under 3 minutes. Oh, I mean, look at this. Welding under 3 minutes, no robotic programming skill needed. Correct? So powerful, by the way. But you're hiding it. I mean, even the design, this is kind of a dark background with white font that is actually light. I'm willing to bet that this is light, not normal. Maintain control and react to pipe variation by modifying the weld parameters in real time. Move freely, join with it. You have some amazing copy over here, some really nice features that you have, but it's hidden in an area where it's like, okay, let's just throw the content over there. These are very powerful headlines that people will say, at least to me, I'm like, oh, wow, this is really good. I don't need programming skills that I can, like, you know, control under 3 minutes. That's powerful. So I can kind of emphasize some of these concepts.
Okay.
So I can, oh, why did we go back over here? So yeah, because I mean, by the way, here's what I would do. You even have it. You have really nice pictures. Some of these headlines become really powerful, strong, powerful headlines over here. Some of the stuff, like, you know, less than 3 minutes. You see how?
Right, got it.
Yeah, so something like that. And then contact information. So this is all good, all good. News. I think this is a good starting point. Let's see our team. I'm just going to look at our team.
Sure. And we only have one main product, which would try to drive traffic to that specific page and capture leads on that page.
Okay.
Kind of the strategy that we were going for.
Yeah. So, oh, look at my son decided to join. Sorry, they just came back from school. They're like, hey, Dad. Sorry for that. Yeah, they tend to show up lately. So. Say hi, guys. Okay.
Oh.
I hope this was helpful. Matt.
Yeah.
No, dude,
we took almost 2 hours. Sorry, guys.
Oh my gosh! All right, so we went almost 2 hours. I hope you guys got value out of that. That was so much fun. You're my record at this point. Khalid, we went longer. I went longer than anyone I went on this webinar. And it was a phenomenal experience. I really appreciate it. I hope all y'all got some value out of it. Because I certainly got a ton. Thank you so much, by the way, Melissa, for volunteering your website. Appreciate it.
I'm talking.
And look, guys, we're gonna wrap up here because we went an hour 50 minutes, which is longer than I ever expected to go today. But I totally don't regret a minute of it. We'll be back in 3 weeks on Tuesday, my normal day, not on Wednesday. I accommodated Khalid here for sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. No, not a problem. Anytime. I'm gonna have Dave Loomis and Aaron Haynes. We're going to talk about voice of customer and product marketing in particular. So I really hope you guys join us for that. It's going to be a great session. And for that, man, this is Industrial Marketing Live. I'm Matthew Chanella from Gorilla 76. Thank you all so much for being part of this. We'll send the recording and we'll send the slide deck to you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a great rest of your day. And yeah, go out there and crush your websites, guys. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.